In this video, we're going to look at transformational leadership. But before we continue, let's review what we've learned so far. So, I would encourage you to pause at this moment and think about these two questions. Summarize the great person theory, and summarize the leadership style models of Fielder, Hershey Blanchard, House, and Broom-Yago. Once you've done trying to accomplish these tasks, let's take a look. A quick review. Well, the great person theory is also known as the great man theory. It's the theory that leaders are born, and also it kind of emphasized that men were leaders. The limitations is that, well, it didn't include women, there was no scientific proof, leadership can be learned, and the environment situation does impact leadership success. Let's continue on and take a look at the models of Fielder, Hershey, Blanchard, House, and Broom-Yago. Fielder believed that there was a match between leadership style based upon your personality with situational demands. So the one thing that Fielder did believe is that, well, there wasn't much hope for training or learning new leadership styles, that the leader was made and that you would just basically place the leader according to whatever the situation was. In contrast, another theory that came up was Hershey Blanchard. They believed that leaders can and do adjust their leadership styles. So they can change. There's a big difference between Hershey, Blanchard, and Fielder. Number two, styles depend on two factors. Hershey Blanchard believed that those two factors were relationship behavior versus task behavior, where Hershey Blanchard summarized the different leadership styles according to the chart below. House's path goal leadership theory believed that an effective leader is one who clarifies paths through which followers can achieve both task-related and personal goals. That a great leader creates a positive path goal linkage, and that they do this through adjusting their styles, similar to some of the other theories we've seen. He believed that leadership styles were based upon the situation, that you adjust, and here are some of the styles that they came up with: directive leadership, supportive leadership, achievement-oriented leadership, and participative leadership. The one big difference is that House believed there was a substitute for leadership, and those substitutes could be subordinate characteristics, the task characteristics, and the organizational characteristics. Broom-Yago came up with another idea, which was a participation model, and that a great leader will end up adjusting their decisions according to the situation, where they classified the decisions as, well, you can decide alone, consult individually, consult with a group, facilitate group discussions, and delegate decisions to group members. And that the decision-making process and leadership styles dependent upon three factors, those factors being the expertise. If a leader has high expertise, then the authority decision would be mainly made with them. Acceptance and commitment for implementation, then maybe you want to end up requiring a group decision and involving them. Time pressure, where the limited time results in more authoritative decisions as discussions among group takes time. So for example, if you're the leader of the Titanic and you see the iceberg in front of you, you're probably not going to say, oh, let's make a decision, let's have a group meeting. You're going to probably say, we need to change the course of the ship, and therefore that's an example of time pressure. But here's a question for thought. How are these contingency approaches to leadership different from what we expect in leaders today? Well, they've been focused a lot on transactional leadership, and they've missed some very big key points, which would be enthusiasm and how to be charismatic. So in this lesson, we're looking at transformational leadership and challenges. So what are we looking in a leader today? Well, we're looking for a focus on super leaders. These are leaders who are charismatic and have enthusiasm. Leaders that can develop a special leader-follower relationship and inspire followers in extraordinary ways. Meaning they're not just normal, but you get extra special results out of them. Well, we've been looking at mostly transactional leadership. This is, you do something for me and I'll give something back. This directs the efforts of others through tasks, rewards, and structures. Focus on contingency approaches to leadership. So the problem is there's no focus on inspiration or enthusiasm. I suppose you could think of this like perhaps a dog. If you want to try and teach a dog to sit or roll over, that could be an example of transactional leadership where you could just give them a treat. But imagine that you never said, "Good boy." That would be something which goes towards the whole, enthusiasm, making the dog feel good. If you're just strictly looking at the transaction portion, it's all about the treats. Transformational leadership is leadership that is inspirational and arouses extraordinary efforts and performance. How do we do this? Well, here's some of the qualities that come along with it. And you can also relate this back to your presentations that you did at the beginning of the unit. Looking at effective leaders. Generally speaking, super leaders have vision, have a good idea and a clear sense of direction. They are charismatic. They use power to arouse others and their enthusiasm. Symbolism identifies extraordinary results with spontaneous and planned ceremonies. Napoleon was very good with the whole symbolism portion, as he would end up giving badges or awards to those of his military commanders. And that was very symbolic, having the award ceremony to celebrate those achievements. Empowerment helps others by removing obstacles that delegate challenges work. Intellectual stimulation. You want to make sure that the work isn't boring, monotonous. Try and involve others through the awareness of problems and try and stimulate their creativity. Integrity. Try to be honest, credible, and consistent. Remember the studies at the beginning of this unit. We looked at what made a great leader. Integrity, honesty, trying to model what you expect out of your employees is something which goes a real far way as a leader. Now, there's also something which seemed to be really important. IQ is an emotional quotient test, which tests your intelligence, whereas EI is what we call emotional intelligence. There are two factors when we end up taking a look at, how we end up rating somebody. So with EI, this is the ability to manage our emotions and social relationships. The studies show that there's a direct relationship between high EI, emotional intelligence results, and high performance. EI skills can be learned. This seems to be something which was really missing in the previous models. Or maybe they were there, but just not identified as this. So what are the EI components? Self-awareness, understanding your own moods and how they impact others. Self-regulation. Think before acting to avoid disruptive impulses. Motivation. Persistently working hard for reasons other than money. Empathy. Understanding emotions of others to relate to them. Social skill. Build good relations and networks. Now, I'd like to just go back. I've created a link, and in this YouTube video, I'll also include a link to an EI test. And I would encourage everyone to go there, and it's a very quick test to do, but see where you end up ranging on the EI schedule. According to this test here, they give you an EI rating of anywhere between 0 and 100. Sorry, not 0 and 100, 0 and 200. So a high EI test is an indication that you understand how to read people and you can adapt to them, which, again, is something which helps you as a leader. Gender and leadership. Just like the great person theory, we looked at the limitation there, that they only identified men as being great leaders. But let's take a look at something that is very important here. Styles differ according to the gender. Women tend to be more participative than males, motivate through interactive relationships, fostering communication, listening to others, and producing higher quality work. While on the other hand, men tend to be more transactional. You do this and I'll give you this. Rely more on directive and assertive behaviors, so their power is more power position, and use more positional power. So they're more of a telling type mentality, whereas women listen, let's try and work through this together, and let's foster good relationships. Over the past 10 years, you have seen more women come into the workforce, and specifically more women who have taken over positions, CEO positions in the Fortune 500. While there is still the majority of those Fortune 500 companies that are dominated by men, there is a shift that is occurring. That goes through the lesson on transformational leadership. I hope you've enjoyed. Here's a few questions that, if you understood what was going on, that you should be able to answer these questions without having to look back. Again, there is that EI test. You should do it. Figure out where you are on the scale. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, email me or throw a message up under the Google Classroom. Bye for now.